Welcome to the 8th episode of Ozball Villains. This week we'll be going through the A-League game week 19, the most recent one. So going through the scores and checking out what happened last week. Also go through fantasy and tipping as always. The NPL in Victoria is well underway now. A few game weeks in there for NPL and VPL1. VPL2 will start this weekend, so I might do a little mini preview if I didn't do it last time. We've got some Australia Cup preliminary rounds. Again, I'll be focused on Victoria. Round 3 this week. Overseas in Asia, Japan, Korea, China leagues have started. I might not go through too much of that just yet until it starts getting a bit more interesting later on in the season, but they have started a couple of weeks ago. As well as a bit of the Thai FA Cup. So there's a few shocks in that competition, especially last round. And then the AFC Champions League and AFC Cup as well. We'll go through a couple of the results and a little preview for the final stages there. So let's get started. So, game week 19 in the A-League, getting down to the business end now. Let's go through the results. Friday night, Macarthur FC 2, Melbourne City 0. Oliveira with 2 goals there. And a good win for Macarthur there. City just not kicking into gear at all this season. I kept saying it even in the early days of this podcast that they would eventually come good, but now I'm starting to think they won't. Still a chance for the finals. I'll go through the table soon, but it's not looking good at all for them. And Macarthur win again. They push up above Melbourne Victory. Again, I'll check later. But a good result there on Friday night. I watched most of that game, and I think it was a pretty comfortable win in the end. Oliveira with the first goal, sort of a tap-in after a good run by Borges Rodriguez, I believe, and then a nice tidy finish in off the post for the second one. So, a good result for them. Next result was Western United 1, Perth Glory 0. So, Perth Glory were back into a bit of form and a couple of points away from home. Western United also in a bit of form, to be honest, considering they're both down below. It doesn't take much to get into form, but a win for the Western United. Botic, 53rd minute winner. Had a chance to double it, but he fumbled it and handballed it. Could have made it 2. So good result for Western United. Still on the bottom, but at least they're getting some goals and points as well. F3 Derby, Newcastle Jets 0, Central Coast Mariners 1. Nisbet, late-ish winner in the 75th minute. Mikael Docker assist, who's been playing fantastically in the last month or so. He started off starting and then he didn't start for a long time. Stormaroo took his place. Now they both seem to be starting. But he's back on and he's doing really well. Mikael Docker, I do like him. More of a wing back now and man of the match, of course. But yeah, Mariners winning as expected though. Up on top with Phoenix, which we'll check again later. The Sydney Derby, Western Sydney Wanderers 1, Sydney FC 4. So a bit of a smashing there. Very early goal by Grant and Fabio Gomez. 2-0 within 7 minutes. I've seen it all before about the RBB walkout, so I won't comment too much on that until we have all the details. But clearly something happened there. Mac making it 3-0, 50th minute. Gomez again. Lolly didn't do an assist. I mean, I'll talk about fantasy soon, but I did bring in Lolly for Gomez, and he sort of shafted me there. And then a late own goal to make it 1-4, a little bit respectful, but I don't think they had any chance once it was even 2-0 in 7 minutes. Seemed like a fun atmosphere to begin with, though, and that giant tifo around the ground, but dark day for the Wanderers overall, considering the result, the occasion, and what happened in the RBB. Wellington Phoenix 3, Adelaide United 2. So the Phoenix, again, a big win. Ben Old early goal, Ivanovic penalty, Van Haddam tap in, and a Ben Old lovely near post finish to make it 3-1. Ibasuki getting a late consolation, but not enough time. 2 minutes left at that stage. Another fantastic result by Phoenix. Again at home. They're flying. They're on top. Again, I'll get the table up very soon. I didn't see much of this match, unfortunately, so not too much comments on it. I did expect the result, as Adelaide United haven't been in great form either this season. But happy for the Phoenix, to be honest. I want to see them do well. Unfortunately, they can't get any Asian qualifications if they finish on top. But still finishing on top is the Premiers and a good chance at making the grand final and winning it for once. And the final match on the Sunday, Brisbane Roar 3, Melbourne Victory 2. Wouldn't you know it, Maho Rojas not only scoring, but scoring twice. 2 headers at that as well. In and around Mashash's brilliant solo goal. And then Waddingham making it 3-1 in the 70th minute. A late goal by Bonavazia wasn't enough for the Victory to get any points there. So a bit of a surprise result there. Well done to Brisbane Roar. Victory didn't really turn up, to be honest. It was a decent performance by the Roar. Again, some issues with the crowd. Fortunately, they weren't there to see it. All the crowd were, but the main youth den at the back, behind the goal, didn't see it. But nevertheless, they can watch the highlights later and see a great win by the Roar. So let's get into the table now. Most teams on half on 20, half on 19 games. But it's the Phoenix on top, 40 points. Great patch of form. I'll do the form table as well and the top scorers. Mariners in second place, 37. So a bit of a gap between the top two now. Sydney FC, with the game in hand, can go up to 33. But it's still more than a win clearance and a bit of goal difference. I mean, now the table is done by wins. Both are on 11. Sydney FC on 9. If they do win 2, they'll be pretty much close on point there, so they can still catch up on wins. Anyway, goal difference just shows the strength of a side in the season anyway, and both of those are in double figures. Macarthur FC third, 32 points. Victory, as I said, with a bit of poor form. I think it's 1 win in the last 8 or 9, like 4 or 5 draws, but not great, to be honest. Down to 4th, 31 points. And it's not just the points, it's the way they're playing. So they should still make the finals, but they won't be in the top 2, I don't think. I think it's probably going to have to be Phoenix and the Mariners at this stage. Still have 7 matches left. Some have 8. Sydney FC coming up as well. I wouldn't be surprised if they even get into 3rd, to be honest, as always. And they'll do some damage in the finals. Wanderers down to 6th, 28 points. That's the top 6. Bit of a separation now between the top 6 and the bottom 6. There's a 3-point gap, but the Wanderers and Sydney, as we mentioned, have a game in hand. City also do, but they're 5-point difference with the Wanderers. So, bit of a gap there. Perth Glory, 20 points after that run of form. They jumped a few places, still in 9th. Adelaide down in 10th, awful form. Newcastle Jets, 11th, 19 points. And Western United catching up slowly, still on 15 points, but a game in hand, only 4 points behind the Jets. Same amount of wins, so they could get off the bottom and avoid that dreaded wooden spoon. So form, I'll do last 5/10. So as I mentioned, Sydney FC, top of the form in the last 5. And almost in the top in the last 10. Only 1 loss there. Phoenix, no losses in the last 10. Mariners, only 1 loss in the last 15. So, well, as expected, the top teams are near the top. As I said, Sydney FC a bit higher than the others. Perth Glory still in the top 6 for form. But as I mentioned, look at Melbourne Victory, down in 9th in the last 10 matches. Adelaide United bottom. They've only had 1 win in their last 10 matches as well. So, disappointing seasons for those bottom 2 in the form right now, Adelaide United and Melbourne City. Actually, I want to check the home records, see if there's any anomalies. I like checking there. I think the only anomaly was Victory finally lost away from home. So there's no more zeros, which I always look for in a table. Something that sticks out for home and away. So it's a pretty standard home and away records. Maybe Newcastle Jets at the bottom of the home. Adelaide United. Well, Perth not at the bottom of the away is something interesting. Better than Western and Adelaide United. Let's go to the top goal scorers now. Stamatolopoulos now is clear. That is a big surprise, especially considering how Fornaroli started, even though, to be honest, he was above where he should have been anyway. Those 2 4-goal games really pumps up your scores, and then considering that, it's only 5 goals in the rest of the matches. He did miss some for the Asian Cup. Stamatolopoulos has missed some through suspension and a missed penalty. Well, Bruno missed one too. 14, 13, 12. Taggart coming up, and then 11 for Germain and Torres, and Barbarouses 10. So it's a very, very tight golden boot. I mean, it goes 14, 13, 12, 11, 11, 10, 9, 9, 8, 8. So anyone in the top 10, I wouldn't say can win. It was Suki as well, surprising. I mean, he scored a hat-trick. Well, with only 7 matches now left, forgetting it's towards the end of the season, there's probably, I'm not going to give any consideration for them. I'm going to bring it down maybe just to Barbarouses. He can bang in a hat-trick and be up to 13. So I'd probably put it down to about 6 players. Gomez somehow on 9. I'd stop it at Gomez. So top 6 still in with a chance. Germain, though, with 5 assists, 11 goals. That's 16 goal contributions, which is the highest there. I think Lolly 14. Anyone else with high amount of assists? No, that's it. So Arslan 11, but he's missed a few games through suspension. So great season for Germain. I'm going to say, honestly, I feel like Stamatolopoulos, just because of the Jets' form, especially towards the end of the season, they might not really do much. But then again, in dead rubber matches, they can just have a 5-3 game and he can score a hat-trick. So honestly, I don't actually even know who's going to win this. I was going to say Torres at one point, but he sort of slowed down. Bruno, I can't see doing too much. Maybe Germain. 3-goal difference, though, with 7 or 8 games left. It's actually going to be very tough to call. I can't even tell you. I'd say Stamatolopoulos, maybe Germain. Target, potentially, if Perth can do those late Saturday night fun matches where he can bang in a couple of late goals. Anyway, it'd be very interesting viewing. So let's move on from that. We'll talk a bit about fantasy and tipping next. Alright, let's take a look at the fantasy now. This week I only got 95 points, so not a great week, just within the top 1,000 for the game week. Still 265th overall, so not too bad. Did somehow win 10 of my leagues. I think a lot of people are just dropping off. I mean, it's happening even in the big fantasy games here, like Premier League or Supercoach in the AFL. Everyone drops off. New players come in the game too, but overall the net amount of active players goes down. So let's have a look at the scores for this week. I didn't really check too much, to be honest. Let's have a look. So Paulson 4, conceded 2 goals. Payne got an assist, which is nice. So he got 14 points. Hall, clean sheet, 10 points. Imai, 13 points. That's two or three good games in a row. On the bench, Rawlings, Majek Kadunmi played 4 points. He got 17 in his first game against Victory when he scored a late goal, late equaliser, which I was at and ruled out by a late Falami winner. Anyway, 4 points. Clough did not play, personal reasons. I wonder if he's back. J.O. Shah had captain. He started on the bench. Only 4 points. Cryer, 4 points with 3 goals scored. That's disappointing. Mashash, great goal, 16 points. Berenguer on the bench, 5, but he did come on, I'm guessing, for Clough. And then, as I mentioned, I got rid of Gomez for Lolly. Now, Lolly still did well, 15. I'm happy with that. But Gomez got 24 or something. And he's cheaper, so I lost money. But Lolly did go up, and I think it was now or never, because he's been up at 700k before. He's down to 500k. I had to get him then and there, because Gomez is just doing my head in. Whatever. Leagues. I don't know why there's some buys already. I feel like uneven leagues or something. I swear I joined 10 and now there's 12 anyway. Groups. I haven't checked this before. That A-League Fantasy show. That podcast stopped with all the axing of people at the A-Leagues and Keep Up and everything, which is disappointing. I was listening to that every week. I mean, now I'm probably the only one talking about it. But they were good, and I do miss that show. 40th in that group. A-League, 20th. Okay, not bad. So the plan for this week is... Where's the fixture? Paulson away at City. I mean, I have to put him on because Heward Bale hasn't played the last couple of matches. I might actually have to sell him for a cheaper keeper and either do some sort of rotation or just get that extra 48k. My plan, I think, was... Oh, well, if Clough's back, I hope he is. They are playing... Oh, it's a double game week, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So City and Wanderers, 2 matches. Maybe Arslan I can bring back in. I was waiting to see if he didn't do anything in the first match, which he didn't, which is great news. I might bring him in, but I've got a pretty solid midfield, to be honest. Those 4, unless I want to make it a big 5 and then just have 2 defenders playing. Or, no, I'm going to keep McLaren on, especially this week with 2 games. Even though he hasn't done anything for a while, 2 matches surely can pop up with one little tap in. Germain definitely on at home to the Mariners, though. Great game. And Lolly, Sydney at home to Brisbane. Yep, he'll be on for sure. As I said, I usually do it on Friday, which is today. I'll do it a bit later after this podcast. I don't want to spend too much time talking about my thoughts. But definitely bringing in Arslan or maybe a Wanderers player. I'll have to check that out. And then maybe downgrading somebody else just to get that extra money in. But I don't really want to get rid of Mashash for the upgrade or Cry or O'Shea. If anyone maybe is Clough, if he's still out, but I don't think he's going to be out that long. Anyway, I'll go into the tipping now. Actually, I want to go through the top players, but I will open up tipping in the background. Let's see who's winning now. I'll do it by average. Bonavazia, actually I'll just do total points and just have a look at the average. So Joe Lolly's still winning. Angel Torres, Zach Clough, 3rd place. Jay O'Shea, Germain, Barbarouses de Villa. So yeah, not too much changes since I last checked. Who's in a best form? Marco Tullio still. He doesn't even play. Damien Da Silva. We're still getting those points for those 2 goals against Western. Docker, as I mentioned, flying. He's up to 500k. Can you believe that? Just have a look at this guy's points. As I said, he started off only 1 or 2 matches, but didn't really get anything. No double figures. But I remember him coming on for 19 minutes, still getting 5 points. 15 minutes, 4 points. 7 minutes, 3 points. He just gets points somehow. Even 1 minute, he somehow got 4 points in 1 minute. I don't know how that's possible. It's insane. And it wasn't a goal or assist, I'm pretty sure. But he started at 200k, has been down to 150k for pretty much up until round 13. And then he comes on when Rue gets that suspension. 13 points, 33 points. That 33 is just more than he did in the whole season, even including that 13-pointer. Then 2 points, then 14, 15, 22. Just insane run of form in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's just unbelievable. 17-point average in the last 5, including the last 6. Okay, it goes slightly down because it's 13s below 17, but still, that's just an amazing run. Total points 131. Now, it's not high, but he's already in the top 50, so it's just crazy stuff. Anyway, let's get on to the tipping now. How did I do last week? So I tipped City for some reason. MacArthur won. Western I got right. Mariners right. A draw for the derby. Tipped Wellington and Brisbane. Let's go this week. So Wanderers should be winning. Oh, they got to bounce back after the derby. I'm only going to say by 1 goal. City versus Phoenix. Now, at Amy Park, Wellington don't have a great record there. Oh, honestly, that's a tough one. That match has been pushed. Well, it was always that late, wasn't it? Or maybe it was been pushed back as well because of the heat. I don't know. Phoenix, can they play in the heat? I'm going to go draw, honestly. Adelaide, actually, I think Adelaide's going to beat Melbourne Victory. Perth versus Newcastle Jets should be a Perth win. Macarthur Mariners, cracking game. I'll go Mariners. Sydney beat Brisbane. And City, Tuesday night, Amy Park Wanderers. Now, we'll pick now, but I might change my result depending on what happens. I'm going to go City for now. As of 9 p.m. Saturday, I may have to change that. Just based on form. So that's it for tipping. I'll now move on to the local leagues in Victoria. Okay, so we'll start with the NPL Victoria. So we're up to round 4 already. Just go through the most recent results. Heidelberg 3, Green Gully 0, Dandenong City 1, Oakley Cannons 1, Moreland City 0, Avondale 1, Manningham United 2, South Melbourne 5, Altona Magic 2, Dandenong Thunder 3, Hume City 4, Port Melbourne 0, and Melbourne Knights 3, St Albans 0. So we'll just have a look at the table for now. Still early days to look at the table, but South Melbourne 4 from 4 on top of the pile, 12 points. Heidelberg second, Avondale third. So 3 of the bigger clubs up top and undefeated. So great start for those 3. Hume City's 4th, 9 points. Dandenong City 7 points. Port Melbourne 7 as well. Bottom half, Fish, well, Green Gully in the top half too, 6 points. Bottom half, Oakley Cannons, also undefeated, but 1 win, 2 draws, 5 points. Knights, 4 points. Thunder, 3. So Manningham United Blues did get a win, 3 points. St Albans, Magic, and Moreland all on the bottom without a victory yet. So 2 relegators, we remember. I think most people would have said probably Manningham and Moreland, to be honest. I think Dandenong City, who came up, they are expected to have a better season. Moreland just surviving last season, I think by a point, and Bentley Green's going down, which is a crazy result. But it'll be hard to back that up, and again, off to a terrible start. Only 1 goal, 4 losses, and rooted at the bottom of the table. Actually, let's have a quick look at the fixture for this week. South Melbourne Heidelberg tonight, big match. I am trying to get down to a match this weekend actually, but I don't know if I'll do NPL. Could do Oakley Cannons, they are very close. Haven't been to Green Gully though before, but then South Melbourne's also a great match. Any of those 3 would be a nice one. Saturday with the heat, I'll probably avoid, but we'll see. Sunday, 2 late matches after the heat, actually. That'd be interesting to see. Let's move on to VPL1. Also up to round 4. Recent results. Preston Lions 1. Northcote City 1. Brunswick City 2. Melbourne City 3. Bentley Greens 1. Western United 7. Now that is a crazy result. That I can't believe. That's just unbelievable. And I know Bentley Greens are down and out and that, but still, I thought they would have come up not easily, but at least got promoted. Now I have no idea. North Geelong 1, Bulleen 2, Caroline Springs, George Cross 1, Langwarrin 2, Melbourne Victory 2, Eastern Lions 0. I went to that one. That was down in Port Melbourne. 2 late goals for the victory there to beat Eastern Lions. Down at where Port Melbourne usually play. And then Kingston City 2, Werribee City 1. So let's have a look at the table now. Melbourne Victory on top. 3 wins, 1 draw, 10 points, along with Kingston and Langwarrin. All on 10 points and no losses. Bulleen, 7 points. Werribee City 5. Caroline George Cross 5, Melbourne City 5, Brunswick City 5, Preston Lions 5, Northcote City 4. So there's Bentley Greens. 1 win, 1 draw, 2 losses, 6 goals, 13 conceded, 4 points. I mean, they're edging close to the relegation zone. I mean, they're not going to get relegated, but it'd be pretty funny. And that was Western United's first win, believe it or not. They had 3 goals scored and 6 conceded at that point, and 3 losses. 3 2-1 losses in a row, and then they go bang 7-1 away from home. I can't believe that. Eastern Lions near the bottom and North Geelong on the bottom, no wins. Fixture-wise, Preston Lions vs Kingston City, Brunswick City, Werribee City, and Bentley Greens at home to Northcote. So, as I said, I was trying to go to a NPL match, but we'll see. I need to check the good old Footballogy app after this. Can't show it on the screen if you're still watching on the YouTube version of this. And, well, audio is just pretty much the same thing, but a fixture. On Footballogy, that is. It's just audio. Caroline Springs on Saturday, only 1 game. 2 on Sunday, and then there's a Wednesday night match. And that's, I think, the first match at that new training facility. So that would be an interesting one to go to. Western United vs Eastern Lions, Wednesday, 8:30. Bit far for me, but I will have to consider it because it's the first game in that stadium. Anyway, I will now move on to the VPL2, which starts. Now, I can't remember if I did this little structure. Wait, that's not it. This one, sorry. Last podcast. But anyway, in case I didn't, I'll just do it again. So the teams: Altona City, Beaumaris, Borondura Carey Eagles, Box Hill United, Brunswick Juventus, Doveton, Eston Royals, Melbourne Serbia, Goulburn Valley Suns, North Sunshine Eagles, Nunawading, and Pascoe Vale in for VPL2. Used to be called NPL3, so 3rd tier in Victoria, 4th tier nationally. The teams that came down from the tier above, VPLM1, was Brunswick Juventus and Pascoe Vale. 2 biggish sides down, so that makes for an interesting league. The teams that got relegated out, 2 non-Melbourne sides, Ballarat City and Geelong, down into the state leagues, and the teams that came up, Altona City and Melbourne Serbia, used to be known as Fitzroy City a few years ago. So those are the teams. Let's get into the fixtures. Friday night, first game was 2 Nunawading versus Beaumaris. So I did want to go to that one. I haven't been to Nunawading's ground, kind of far-ish. Friday 7:30. Oh, tempting. Box Hill versus Pascoe Vale. Brunswick Juventus, Melbourne Serbia. Nice match there. CB Smith Reserve. Altona City versus Borondura. How do you even say it? Saturday, Doveton versus North Sunshine and Goulburn Valley versus Essendon Royals on Saturday. No Sunday matches. I would tempted to go to Nunawading, but we'll see. Anyway, this would be an interesting league again next season with the NSD coming in, or NST, National Second Tier Division. Obviously, 4 or 5 teams are going to be plucked out of the system, so I'm not sure how they're going to fill those spaces. If there's extra promotion spots, do they wither the leagues down to 12 each? That would make sense. Honestly, I feel like that is something I would like to see. I don't know why. Because currently we have, 12 in this league, and we had 12 in VPL1, no? Oh no, it's 14. So 2 of those teams could be plucked out, and then NPL we have 14 as well, so it makes sense to get rid of those 4-ish teams and then it becomes 12, 12, 12. I would like that. That does mean a shorter season though, because NPL 3 has a shorter season. VPL 2 we have 26 rounds because everyone plays each other twice, whereas VPL2 only has 22 rounds, so it would mean less football. So I'm not sure if they'd go for that unless they just add in the extra 4 game weeks with, like I said, sort of like an AFL fixture where you play, or even how the A-League used to be, some teams twice, some teams 3 times. I don't know, that sort of ruins the evenness and I hate that, so I wouldn't like that. So maybe my idea isn't as good as I thought it would be, unless people are down for a shorter season. Because you could argue less football, but then we're actually getting more football because we're getting a whole new tier above it. So less football for the state league, but more national. That'll be interesting, and I'll see what they do. Unless they fill it up with more teams somehow and they push up, I wouldn't say get rid of the whole NPL 3. That'd be a bit silly. Or make it into a 16-team league. That's just too crazy. Because like I said, currently there's 14, 28, plus 12, 42 teams in the NPL VPL system. 4 are leaving, I think, at least. So it'll be 38. 38 divide 3 goes nearly 13. That doesn't work. So if you add in a couple more, or as I get rid of a whole league, then it would be... No, that doesn't make sense either. Have to be 2 20-tier leagues. Anyway, we'll figure that out late this year, early next year. I think that's it for VPL and NPL. Let's go on to the Australia Cup preliminary rounds next. Okay, let's go through the Australia Cup. I'll do a little bit of the results from the second round, preliminary second round. There are 7 in total. Second round for Victoria. I'm not going to go through every single result. Obviously, just the ones where there was a lower tier team beating a higher tier team. So the first one we had was East Bentley, tier 9, beating one tier above them, Balmoral, 4-3. So bit of a shock. Again, it's very similar down there. Obviously, it's not a crazy result, but those are the little things I just look for that stick out there. That's State League 5 beating State League 4, though Balmoral did just get promoted, and I think East Bentley did get relegated, so not a big result there, let's be honest. Epping City 1, Watsonia Heights 1. Watsonia Heights advanced 4-3 on penalties, so again another State League 4 beating a State League 3 on penalties. Not bad result there. There's only a couple more other ones. Let me quickly find it. I think it was Mount Eliza, State League 5, beating King's Domain, State League 4. That was 3-2 away from home for Mount Eliza. And Chelsea of State League 4, beating Heidelberg Eagles of State League 3, 3-1 away from home. So only 4 lower tier teams winning. Let's go down to round 3 now, which has been played this weekend. Some played last night and the night before. I went to this one here, Western Eagles versus Doncaster Rovers, down at the Polish Sports Club in Albion. My first time there, last night, 7:30. So Western Eagles State League 3. They were State League 1 a few seasons back. They've dropped. Doncaster Rovers now State League 2 in the southeast. And, well, they don't show the results here yet. You can probably find it somewhere, but I'll bring it to you now. I'll just first start by saying that Doncaster Rovers scored first very early on. So I was literally trying to walk around the ground to find a place. A guy just waltzing through the half the team, messy-like, and just scoring outside of the foot mini tap-in goal. Just made them look like amateurs. And I thought this was going to be, not a thrashing, but I thought Doncaster Rovers should win now. They're a higher-ranked side. From that moment, Western Eagles absolutely dominated and scored 7 goals, would you believe, to win 7-1. State League 3 beating State League 2 7-1 at home. So a crazy result. They just dominated and Doncaster Rovers had nothing. They were the ones looking like amateurs by the end of it. So a huge result there for the Western Eagles. Last night as well, Keilor Park have beaten Hampton East. Brandon Park, though, this is a bigger result as well. Brandon Park 1, East Bentley 2. If I'm not mistaken, that's at least a 4 league difference. Is Brandon Park? Yeah, look at that. Brandon Park, Tier 5, State League 1, East Bentley. As I said, already pulling off a mini shock last week by beating a team above them. State League 5 side, fantastic result, 2-1. Okay, away from home, but that was a neutral ground. That is an unbelievable result. So not too many results to talk about. More about the fixtures. There's some quite separation between the leagues now, so I'd like to see some shocks here. We've got Strathmore versus Bell Park. It's 3 difference. Bendigo and Bayside is a 3-tier difference. Oof. Chelsea and Mount Eliza playing each other. Both got upset results. And I think Chelsea won, actually. It's not on here. I did see it on one of the Facebook pages. So Chelsea through to the round of fourth round. Great there. Any other big gaps? Not really. Darebin and Banyule, 3-tier difference. Mount Waverley and Springvale White Eagles. That's a big difference. Brandon Park, East Bentley, as we mentioned, and actually getting the result. Riversdale and Corio, Geelong and East Q. Might have to check that page to see if any results are filtering through. So, and there's still some with 3, 2, and 1 tier differences. So definitely always room for upsets. It's pre-season. It's lower leagues. It's lots of stuff happening. It's going to be hot as on Saturday, which may affect some teams. But yeah, I'll be keeping in touch with the results as they sort of come through on Facebook and this website if it updates. But obviously hopefully by Sunday, Monday, we'll have all the results. There's a Tuesday night match. In terms of visiting, tonight, as I said, there was NPL and VPL. If there was a cup game I'd like to go to, it would be... there's quite a few on Friday night. Town of East vs Yarraville's a nice one. No, nothing really that stands out. Some potential upsets, some a bit far away, but we'll see. Saturday in the heat, as I said, I didn't really want to go. A lot of the games have been pushed early. I did want to go up north to watch either Laylaw and Peninsula or Mill Park and Collingwood. They're both in Laylaw, Thomastown area. Uni Hill Eagles is Mill Park area as well. I think there's another one up north, Plenty Valley, that's in Thomastown. Not that I'm going to do all three, but there's a few games up there where I used to grow up in that area. Clifton Hill as well. Still some games at 3 o'clock. That is going to be a killer to play in. Let's see if they... I feel like they would have moved them by now because they moved some a few days ago. This page has been updated last night and still no move. And I wonder why this one's 0-0. So someone forfeited that match on Thursday. Mornington and Mazenod, 0-0's already put into the app. I'm not sure. Anyway, I think that's it for Australia Cup. As I said, I'll check for the results. NPL side, or State League. NPL side, sorry, come in soon. There's a little handy, I think it used to show it format. Yeah, it does show it here. No, it doesn't. I thought it was going to show when they come in. I've seen it somewhere, but NPL sides obviously eventually come in soon. Anyway, that's it for the Australia Cup. I will now move on a little bit of the Asian region. Not too much detail, but just a couple of the leagues and intercontinental tournaments. Let's get into that next. Okay, so Asia, Japan, Korea, China have started. As I won't go into too much detail, to be honest, for now. And I probably mentioned in previous podcasts the changes since last season. So the J League, or J1, has gone up from 18 to 20 teams now, which means 1 went down and 3 came up. Yokohama FC went down. Machida Zelvia went up. Mitch Duke playing there, an Aussie. Jubilo Iwata also up, and Tokyo Verdy up for the first time since 2008. So the Tokyo Derby's back. FC Tokyo vs Tokyo Verdy. Check out that one when it's on. They have played a few games already. I'll just do a quick, like I said, preview, but not going to go into too much detail. Hopefully next time throughout the season. It's a great league to watch. Some great stadiums. The stadiums are almost always full. Great atmospheres. I've been there myself a few years ago. Awesome country to watch football in Japan. Easy to travel around as well. A bit expensive compared to some other countries, but it's still a great time. Got 2 Aussie managers. Molsky for Tokyo and Harry Kuehl taking over the Marinos. 3 Aussies in a row now. Foreign players. Aussie-wise, as I said, Mitch Duke. We've got Deng at Albirex Niigata and a Kiwi, Michael Fitzgerald. Langerak still in goals at Nagoya Grampus. So that's it. Not too many Aussie representatives. They've only played 2 matches. I'm not going to go into any detail because it's just barely started. Marinos with Kuehl did lose. They did win their first game very late on, and then they've lost the next one. But I won't do too much detail. As I said, there's barely any stats or anything interesting to cover. But keep an eye on the J League. It's a great league, probably the best in Asia, in my opinion. It's fun to watch. It's on Optus as well. Not a paid promotion here, but it is on there. I'm sure you can find many other ways to watch it as well. or at least keep up with the scores. As I said, I'll do it not every podcast, every few podcasts I'll bring it up every now and then if something interesting's happening, crazy results. I'll be mentioning it. Same as Korea, K-League 1, probably the second best league, although J-League 2 is pretty fun as well. I do recommend sort of keeping an eye on all top 3 J-Leagues, J1, 2 and 3, if you're that keen. K-League, so Samsung Blue Wings went down, Suwon. That was a big shock. And Gimcheon Sangmu, the army-based team, came up. Similar to Japan, just a bit smaller just in everything in terms of obviously the amount of teams. The stadiums are slightly smaller. They still got pretty decent ones because they did build quite a few for the World Cup, which they co-hosted with Japan. Aussie-wise, there are actually quite a few in the K-League, in the AFC player slot. So Aaron Calver for Daejeon, Popovic to Gwangju just recently, Delbridge still at Incheon, Aspro, Pohang Steelers, and Lachlan Jackson for Suwon. So more than the J-League by a few, no coaches though, managers. It's just started again. I'm not going to go into anything, just the Army team did win their first match. As I said, I always like to see the new teams in each league and see how they do. Anyway, it's only one match. No results and stats yet. But yeah, as I mentioned, just slightly smaller scale than the J-League, because it's very similar. Smaller crowds as well, unfortunately. Atmosphere is not as great as the J-League. Still can be pretty good for some of the bigger matches or the bigger teams. I would recommend checking out, I haven't been to Korea, but I do watch the matches. Some great atmospheres. Probably Daegu is up there, and Pohang Steelers is pretty good. FC Seoul on big match days as well. So there's a few teams to look out for. Let's move on to China. China is always a bit of a weird league. There's a lot of teams just disappearing and merging and changing. They've already had another recent one. The newly promoted Sichuan, they relocated to Shenzhen and changed their name to Shenzhen Peng City, part of the City Football Group, which is not great. We don't like to see that. Funnily enough, they did sign a keeper named Peng Peng. Believe it or not, that's a little hilarious side note. So check that out. But another City team which nobody wants to see. Kevin Muscat, manager at Shanghai Port, so it might interest a few Aussies now to see how he goes over there. Foreign players, with regards to Australians, I only think there was one, Alex Grant, playing for Tianjin. No other Aussies in that league, so even less than the J-League and the K-League. Shanghai Port won their first match, 3-1 against Wuhan Three Towns, conceding 3 goals. Again, China, I'm not super interested in it, to be honest. Like I just said, I follow all these Asian leagues. I'm always checking the scores every week. I won't mention it on the podcast, but just me personally, I check it on my app. I've got it saved as a favorite league, so I check every 10 of the Asian leagues, all their results. A few more details when I check stats and goal scorers and tables. Podcast wise, as I mentioned, maybe every few I'll just mention it, give an update of tables and results. But that's it for now. Thai FA Cup I want to mention now. I started following this last season because I know there's quite a few upsets. T3 goes down to, well, even lower, but T3 in terms of a league that I sort of can follow in terms of results. But just recently we had a couple of shocks. So we had a T3 side beating a T2 side on penalties, not crazy there. The big one though that I want to mention, and that as well, T3 Song Club taking Bangkok to penalties, 2-tier difference there. But the shock result is this one here. Bangkok of Tier 3, they call Bangkok FC essentially, 5 goals against Buriram, who are the big Thai team, almost dominating the league. 5-4 they've beaten them. Tier 3 side beating a Tier 1 side. That is a huge result. It's the first time that Buriram have conceded 5 goals in so long, and that's including their top tier league efforts. So that's an unbelievable result if you follow the Thai league. So I'll be very interested to see when the quarterfinals Apparently it was drawn on around yesterday, actually, so hopefully the fixture is out right now. Interesting to see how some of these T3 sides go, because we've got one from Tier 3, we've got a T2, we've got a T3 and a T3, so 4 non-top tier sides with 8 teams left. So, I mean, it happens in a lot of cups around the world, of course, don't get me wrong. But that's one to watch out for. Let's move on to the AFC. Actually, I'll do a little bit of the Asian Champions League first, actually, while that loads. Sorry, I didn't have it preloaded. I'm going to find it. Let me just find it here quickly. Oh, I'll just do AFC Cup while this loads up anyway. So we're down to the essentially semi-finals for the regions. Very confusing, as we've seen in the other podcast. But essentially there are 6 teams left on overall. 4 teams left on the east, 2 on the west, which is a Omanian and a Lebanese team. I'll check that out soon. But of the 4 teams left in the east, Central Coast Mariners have played Odisha of India. A 4-0 win there for the Mariners. Doka and Barcelos scoring. Looked like a comfortable win. I didn't watch it. I was at the local football last night. It looked like a comfortable win. It is 2 legs, mind you. Going back to India, obviously some foreign conditions could be tricky. They may not win, the Mariners, but I can't see them losing by 4 or more. So I would recommend that not they're listening, to bring a full strength side, or at least a 1.5 strength side, because you never know. Have them on the bench, and if they're already losing 2-0 by halftime, bring on a few and just stem the flow. But they shouldn't lose. I can see it being a tricky match, obviously, but I can't see them losing by that many, because that would be a big shock to be overturned 4-0. Reminiscent of what Sheffield Wednesday and Peterborough in the English Championship or League 1 at that time. I think it was League 1 maybe. Anyway, they're playing again next week, so be an eye out for that. The other match, who will probably play the Mariners, was Abdish Atta of Kyrgyzstan. They beat Taiwanese side Taichung 5-0. So again, similar result. I don't think Taipei is as difficult a place to go as India, so that should be an easy win. They did get 3 late goals, so you could argue it was competitive up until the 84th minute. I didn't watch this one either. But it did look like they dominated by the stats. 27 shots to 4, 74% possession, triple the passes. So again, they may potentially lose in Taiwan, but I highly doubt that. So it looks like it'll be the Mariners versus Abdish Atta of Kyrgyzstan. So that should be interesting. I'm going to just quickly bring it up on Wikipedia now, just so you can see the visualized form of the flowchart to get to the final. There we go, much better now to see what I was saying before. So MacArthur and Mariners both in the zonal semi-finals winning. They played each other. Mariners won. This is all single leg. Then it went to 2 legs. That game against the Kyrgyz side will be 2 legs as well. So that would be interesting. They should get the job done, the Mariners. I'm jumping ahead a few steps here. And then they play the winner of the double leg match. That's probably going to be in April. Al Nada of Oman and Al Ahed of Lebanon. Now, interesting enough, these 2 teams actually played each other in the group stage, and they both beat each other 2-1 at home, so they're very evenly matched. I think they were in Group A. They both finished on top. Al Ahed, though, did lose another match. Actually, they both lost the match. Oh, against each other, obviously, but Al Ahed obviously was lost to Al Fatouha of Syria. There was only 3 teams in that group anyway. So not sure if the Mariners skip ahead all the way to the final, who they'll be playing. It looks very even between those 2. But either way, still a great chance to win. Honestly, I can't say they'll be favourites, but they've got a great chance of winning this and bringing up that coefficient. So let's hope for the best there. As I said, the next leg next week, Then the finals in April. Sorry, not the final. The Interzone playoff final, April. And then the final itself, I'm guessing, is sometime in May. Tulio's still top goal scorer. He hasn't played in a few matches. So that's the AFC Cup. Let's go to the AFC Champions League now. Again, I'll just focus on the East. I don't do too much on the West until we get to the final. We've got Jeonbuk and Ulsan of Korea. Played each other 1-1 to Jeonbuk at home. They go then to Ulsan HD. They've changed their name. For the next match next week. 1-1. Ulsan probably favourites, but Jeonbuk do well in Asian competitions. They didn't do well in the K-League last season, but that should be interesting. And then Shandong Taishan and Yokohama. So Yokohama winning 2-1 away from home. Big result there. That is very good for Harry Kuehl's side away from home. Chinese sides, as I said, aren't as strong as they used to be. So I think it was sort of expected, but still a great result. They were 2-0 up though. They did concede late. 2-0 would have been a much better result. Nevertheless, they will be happy with that. I will just look up the, not Champions League Elite, sorry, the flowchart for this as well. So, as we've seen, Jeonbuk and Ulsan making it by beating Pohang and Kofu. They were J-League 2 at the time. And Shandong Taishan beating Kawasaki Frontale. So they did beat a Japanese side, and that was a big result, 6-5. And Yokohama just making it through on after extra time against Bangkok. So, looks like it may be, I can't call the Korean one, maybe Ulsan, but it'll be tight against Yokohama. And then most likely playing one of the Saudi sides. Could be a Ronaldo, could be another superstar who's gone over to Saudi. Playing against, well, unfortunately, an Aussie side, maybe next season if those guys are still around against the A-League premiers. But nevertheless, still would be interesting to see those sort of foreign superstars going up against some of Asia's best sides. So next leg next week, as we mentioned, semis are probably also in April, with the final being in May. So something to look out for. I'll bring those updates soon when they happen. I think that's it for this edition. So we have covered Australia, local, Victoria and Asia. So we've gone near and far. I will try and do another one soonish, maybe with the results for the next legs of these Asian competitions. There's mini leagues playing around Australia and Asia, so there's always something to bring, whether it's every week or every second week. Nevertheless, that's it for this week's episode, and we'll see you next time.